Denzel said yesterday he thought last year was his best year. Would you agree with that? Over that assessment of where he was a year ago.
Absolutely. And we talk about good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is your better and your better is your best. And that's something that it was a good year, but it wasn't our best year. And he's been working like really, really hard, especially with the new practice, like how we're going out, we're competing, like he's displaying toughness. This is a young guy that really stood like the whole time that we've been in camp, and you're seeing his impression on the team right now.
Brandon, last year, 4 total interceptions on the team. And Schwartz talked about we got to turn those QBUs into INTs.
Yes, sir.
How do you do that on the practice field?
Yeah, you know what? Like, keep embodying our defensive mindset. Like, we want to attack first, right? Like, we're the tip of the spear. We want to make sure that we're forcing errors, but we're forcing errors because we're communicating and we're executing. And then when we talk about, like, the heart and toughness, like, with us fighting through friction, like, just displaying that toughness through, and then finishing for the team, right? Like, everything that we do is for the team. And those guys really work to serve. And when they're keeping the focus on that, it's going to produce.
So does doing the jugs gun do any help at all?
Oh, absolutely. And these guys, like, since they've been in, those guys, they hold each other accountable to it. They have a routine where they catch about 50 a day as a segment. So with, on average, 8 to 10 guys being here the whole time, like, throughout the day, they're catching 50 a day.
Is that different? I'm sorry. Is that different from previous years with you?
You know what? More consistency. More consistency with standard. Those guys have really bought into holding each other accountable.
Schwartz also talked about like improving third down percentage.
Yes, ma'am.
And as a defense, but for your unit specifically, like what's their role in that way, and how can you guys like work on that? I guess.
Yeah, the first thing is to leverage our engine, right? Like, we want to make sure we always talk about rush and coverage working together. So us staying tight, getting tight, staying tight, and then like being the tip of the spear for our nerve center. So being somebody that our linebackers, our safeties, they can really rely on when we communicate.
You mentioned a lot about looking for toughness. What are you specifically looking for, like out on the field, or is it something in the building to where you're like, this guy has it?
Oh, excellent. It starts with toughness. Like, period. It starts with toughness. We want tough, competitive guys that really, like, know how to play smart. We talk about, like, a lot of heart and toughness within our group, so it has to start there.
But to you, like, what is toughness? Is there something in particular you see out on the field and you're like, this guy's tough?
Yes, ma'am. Like, hungry dogs run faster. So when you talk about, like, championship effort, and when we talk about toughness, like, 3 things that we really want to be known for: physical violence, great effort, and swag and passion. So when we're seeing guys display that, that's it.
I know MJ probably didn't have the most production that he wanted last year, so how have you seen his mindset maybe shift as he enters this offseason program, looking ahead to a stronger 2025?
Yeah, consistency. That's a very resilient player. He's a very resilient player that he holds himself accountable and his teammates hold him accountable. So for him to be here every single day, leveraging, Larry in the weight room, our nutrition department, he's a come early, stay late guy, so the little bit of details that we talk about, like, he's really embodied them. And he's another player when we say good, better, best, right? Like, yeah, he was good. He's getting better. Now he's en route to putting his best stuff on tape.
What about with Greg as well? Like, just kind of this coming year, what are your expectations for him? Just kind of the way that he's maybe stepping even more so into the leadership.
Yes, continue to lead. Continue to lead by example specifically. He's a young guy that he puts it on tape. He always brings swag and passion, right? And then, like, he's a guy that the younger guys and older guys, his peers, they look up to him for leadership. So making sure that he continues in that lane to be consistent.
What do you think your group's gotten done this spring?
I think we've gotten better as a group. I really our personality. They take out everybody in. Our 2 young rookies have been good. I mean, we don't care right now where we play. We bring the energy to the field. It's not the last day of school. If it feels like it's a summer, it's not. We're going to bring the energy today. But we're all working really well together, and they're really working on learning all the linebacker positions and learning the entire defense. That's been great.
Coach Carson, how far has he come in these last few weeks, and what's going to be his biggest challenge going forward?
Carson does a really good job of being able to focus on each play and making the next play his best play, which is one of the things that I've said before, but that's usually where a rookie will struggle, where he's worried about what he just did or hangs on to it. He figures it out, asks great questions, runs to the ball. He's led us in running to the ball, led us in scoops in the spring, which is good because we need to do that. We need to set the tempo, but the rookies should. They're younger. And really impressed with how he goes to the next play and how conscious he is within the plays. So having said that, that's the learning curve that can really help a young man play fast in this league.
Is he going to wear the green dot?
There's what I'm really excited about is how many people we have that have worn the green dot or have the ability to wear the green dot. I mean, last year we did it out of necessity. We had Jordan, Jeremiah, Mahmoud, Devin, Carson. We have a lot of guys, and Winston's growing too. We have a lot of guys that could wear the green dot, and that is unique. That doesn't happen all the time.
Unusual for a rookie?
Yeah, can be. He's wired to where he's smart and he wants to get the answer right, but also when stuff breaks down, just to chase the ball, because that's the key.
What did you think when you get Carson here and he studied bioengineering, just given your background?
Oh yeah, there was a chance when I was at UCLA that I would have taught some of his classes as when I was in graduate school, which is really crazy. But yeah, I didn't know all that. My roommate who's a UCLA season ticket holder was like, "You got to watch this kid. You got to watch this kid." Like right away when he started playing first couple games, when he made a tackle to save the game against Hawaii and get the ball out. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And then I start watching. I'm like, oh, he's pretty good. And then I look him up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how would this kid? I mean, that hasn't happened. Pretty cool.
Just given what he studied and everything, like, do you think there's a similar way you guys think and everything along those lines and can communicate in a similar way?
I think he's done a really good job and growing up in his family and where he played, of just the process of playing and thinking of everything. He just stays in the process and keeps it simple and goes on to the next thing. Nothing's too big yet. Now, obviously, we've got games to play, so we'll see how he does. There's going to be mistakes, but as long as you learn it from the first time, you'll be good. So I think just how he's wired and how he approaches problems and solving problems is really unique. And when he stays in that, it's exciting.
Would you be a professor if you weren't doing this? Or you just think?
Yeah, I got my master's degree in biochemistry and molecular biology, but I just think this. I really wanted to try everything, teaching, coaching, studying, everything, to find out where I could help the most. And I think I'm really lucky to have found my passion to help us win and help these guys be the best they can be. So appreciate that.
I feel like Mahmoud has been out there kind of making plays this early part of off-season workouts. What have you seen from him, and what would a year 3 jump look like for?
Oh, hey, I'm really excited about Mahmoud. You saw my big smile. He was really good yesterday. We emphasized some body position stuff. He got in really great shape between the first offseason's the key, and Nate and Wynn are in there right now. The first offseason, you got to get in the best shape of your life, and now you know it. And then your second one, now you know how to do it. He's even gotten better shape. His explosive numbers are through the roof. He's running. He barely looks like he gets tired. He is impressive as heck. And now he's playing all 3 positions. So when he came in last year, what we do is we give him a home first, one position out of the backers. We'll all know it all eventually. He had his one position, and when he went in the game, that's where he played. Now he's playing the other ones. So he's done a good job. Like, he had a couple plays where he's on the edge of defense yesterday that he had never done before, and they were perfect yesterday. So very excited with where he's going.
Jason, just knowing you guys are going to be without Jeremiah for this season, just how disappointing is that? I mean, guys have, when they've talked about him, said it seems like he's going to be around and still contributing in his way.
Oh yeah, no, whenever we put anything in the linebacker text message area, like I try to put lots of things in there. Jeremiah's the first one to comment, which makes us happy. We miss him, we love him, and his progression to become everything from wearing the green dot to you name it last year. Really proud of him for that. And what's helped is our younger players in the room watch that. So he helped it. We know the process because Jeremiah went through it. And so for Mahmoud and Nate and Winston and our rookies, they've seen it. And so Jeremiah's given us that. He's shown us the process, so now we can keep working through it.
JLK, prior to the draft, was known for his collisions, the way he plays the game, violent and all that. Is Schlesinger like that, only bigger?
Carson is this. Carson has a unique feel to find the ball and get it on the ground. I don't remember all his tackling stats, but in his 1 year, he was highly productive at finding a way to get somebody on the ground, and it shows. And he runs and he hustles and he does that. What's impressive about him is how, for a younger player, how well he takes care of his body. He's incredibly flexible and strong. And you can see it in how he moves, how he's able to keep his feet apart. So, yes, he's a little bit taller and he can hold, and he's got a little more weight in his lower body, but he's very, very flexible. There's some movement things that they do that are very similar. Sometimes they even run out of their cleats. Sometimes when you see a great athlete slip, it's because their angle of their body, the cleat can't handle them. They're too strong for the cleat. You see that sometimes. Like if you ever see Miles slip, it's usually because, he's stronger than the thing that's holding his foot in the ground. So there's some similarities, but the best part about both of them is how hard they run to the ball and how much they want to get the ball carrier on the ground.
It seems like when we've gotten to talk to Carson, like he hasn't lost that chip on his shoulder from being a former walk-on. I guess, do you see that, and how valuable is that type of guy come in with that sort of mentality?
He's all football. All he wants to do is be the best he can be each day. And again, in a younger player in this league, that mindset is special, and I think he's going to keep it, but I will make sure he does.
Jordan is, I don't know if you mentioned him yet or not, because I was over there, but what does he give you with all the experience that he's had? How does he help you as a coach with his whole linebacker?
Well, it's a lot, and we do. There's times where I'll say, hey, Jordan, you've seen this. What do you think about this? Or what's the easiest way to say this? Or how have you done this to be productive? Because he's smart, he's so aware, he's so tough, he knows how to train his body. And Jordan's another one. He's in the moment. He goes to the next play really fast. So there's times where I'll start the meeting. Hey, Jordan, I'm going to talk about this today. What do you think? That it's highly valuable. And just how he portrays himself. I mean, you'll see these guys come out right now, and Jordan and Devin Bush will just start playing catch like little kids. They do it every day as part of their warm-up. I love that. Love that. And to get better catching the ball. But that's who he is. Like, we're all excited to be around that. That's why we do it.
Kind of back to Jerome Baker is a guy who about similar skill set to JOK, or what do you see him bringing to this linebacker?
Jerome has done a really good job out here. We're doing more 7-on-7, and that Jerome is very quick. Jerome has covered a lot of routes in his career, both in college from playing in space, here in college, and in the NFL. So his quickness and his awareness is really good. I'm really excited to see him in our system. He hasn't been able to play in our run-type fit system, which he'll get more of when we get to training camp, and I'm really excited to see where he can go.
How would you say, I know I was with him in Miami, how would you say the positions are a little bit different in that defense as opposed to?
Well, some of the times in the different defenses he played in a bunch of different schemes when he's down there, so each year was a little different for him. But there's a little bit more of 5-down fronts where he's sliding behind, making things right. And in our defense, you hear from Coach Schwartz all the time, the D-line's job is to go wreck it, and our job is to fix it. So sometimes we can move quicker forward, and with Jerome's quickness and ability, as he learns that timing, could be really good. So that would be the difference.
Cam, last one. Back to Carson. I asked him about the limited sample size in college, and he said some people might see that as a knock to him, but for him, he sees it as a way to show off that he's got a high ceiling. Where do you think that he can elevate himself and show his ceiling at during this part in training camp?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about our evaluation. Early in the year, and I talked about the Hawaii game, it was a blitz, and it broke out, and he just took off and saved a touchdown by sweeping a leg of a wide receiver. And then he punched the ball out to win the game at the end, and that game was close. So I went, okay, football awareness, hustle, big, fast athlete. And what you could see through the years, he learned from everything that happened to him. And when I interviewed him, I cut up certain plays before and said, in specific plays, whether or not he made the play, whatever it was, some he wasn't even at the point of attack, to see what he knew. He knew the scheme, he knew what it was, and he knew what he learned. So there's your answer.
What part of the draft process did you learn the most about him? Was it at the combine?
Well, when you get a kid from UCLA, and my master's degree is from there, and then I really liked him, I liked Kane, I really liked all the guys at UCLA. So I was excited to meet him anyway, so I was really, when I got to the combine, I was prepared to be able to see him, talk to him, and he had a hamstring, so he couldn't do anything. But it was all in that time where I was getting ready, like I do with every year for everybody, but I was maybe even a little more excited because it's UCLA. The linebackers are all teasing me, oh, you got your UCLA guy.
Your guy. Jacques,
Jacques, so I know Jim, when he talked to us, said he thinks Miles can have, you really put the challenge to him to
Yeah.
have his best season ever.
Absolutely.
We talked to Miles, and he seemed to accept that. Just what do you think about all that? What would that season look like for him?
Yeah, obviously, you know, after going through the season that we had last year, and you know, Miles had a really good season, but you know, he left a lot of meat on the bone, and he himself said that, hey, I can do better. So I know Miles is a prideful man, and he works extremely hard, and I know he's going to go out here and put his best foot forward and go out and dominate like he usually does. So, yeah, do I expect our best players to play their best for us? Absolutely. And if he happens to have the best year of his life, you know, I mean, the best season of his life, then next year I'm going to want even more, you know. So you know, it's about him coming out every day, working to get better, working with the guys every day, and helping them get better, and I think we'll be fine.
What are your impressions on Mason Graham?
I love Mason. You know, the thing I love about Mason, right? You know, I mean, I think everybody, you know, heard, you know, he ate a little bit too much and he threw up that first day. But what a lot of people are not talking about is that the kid finished. Okay, he went back out there, you know, puking all, and finished a rep. You know, but here's a kid that every day he got better. Every day he came out here, he's running to the ball as fast as he could. You see his rush game developing. You see him launching with hands. It's going to be hard, you know, obviously coming from a read scheme, going to an attack scheme. But he's done a really good job, and he's great in the room. Extremely smart individual, hardworking. So I can't wait to see him go on to play.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah.
What part of the draft process did you learn the most about Mason Graham? Was it at the combine or the visit here?
Well, I usually start watching these guys like the year prior, and I remember telling our guys, you know, there's a kid at Michigan right now that, you know, that guy can move, you know, and he has a lot of rush moves, and he has strong hands, and we got to take a look at him. And then our guys were already on it. They're like, yeah, we know. And you know, as you start watching tape, you just start, you know, really liking a guy more and more, and just start fitting the pieces together like, oh man, if he was on this side playing with this guy, imagine what he could do. So it was nice that, you know, our whole process here for picking players, I love it because, you know, you actually have a say in things, and AB does a great job, all the scouts do a great job. So the more and more I just started watching, the more and more I just felt like, hey man, like this kid is going to be perfect for what we do. And so, you know, here we are right now, and I'm excited for that.
You didn't meet him until when?
Well, I met him at the 30 visit, but those are really short, you know, and really you start zooming with guys and talking with guys and things like that. But no matter what, you can do that, and I've done that with a lot of players over the years. No matter what, it doesn't really count for me until they step in that building. When they step in that building, you get to see their habits every day. Right, who this person is. Is he a guy that comes in early? Yes. Is he a guy that hits the field early? Yes. Is he a guy that wants to work after practice? Yes. So then that's when you start realizing, like, man, this guy, not only is he a really, really good player, but he's probably one of the hardest working guys that we got. So you know that's a good little recipe for success in the NFL.
Is that how you, when you have a guy in like a read scheme like he was at Michigan coming to an attack scheme here, is that those traits how you were able to kind of project how he'll fare going from one scheme to the other?
That's a great question, okay? Because there's not a lot of attack teams in college football. But when you see a guy start penetrating and he's in a read scheme, right, and he's penetrating the line of scrimmage, I'm not talking about 1 yard. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 yards in the backfield, getting tackle for losses, or setting other people up to make plays. That's when you're like, okay, this kid can do what we're going to ask him to do. You know, so you know, a lot of people, you know, you get in these discussions with people about, you know, penetration or disruption, which one you like more. I like them both, but you have to have certain traits in order to penetrate, right? You got to have, you know, good quick twitch. You got to have a great get off. You got to be strong, you know, and low center of gravity. And you don't need a big 360, 370 pound man to penetrate. You just need a guy that's about 290, 300, and just wants to go. You know?
Along the lines of his fit, there's been so much made the last couple of years of like having Myles Garrett kind of having like a sidekick on the other side of the defensive line, as a defensive end spot with like Zedarius. But is it almost more beneficial to Myles to have somebody like Mason who's next to him and he kind of work on the same side of the field?
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about, you know, 4 equals 1, right? We need four rushers working together at all times. So it's not just about Myles and a sidekick or Myles and somebody else on the other side of him. It's just 4 guys working together to rush the quarterback. That has to be coordinated, and everybody has to have some kind of rush ability. If you only have one guy with rush ability out there, then that guy's gonna have a freaking long day, and the rest of those guys are gonna be stuck on the line of scrimmage. So everybody has to pitch in on the rush. Having any type of penetrating defensive tackle in an attack scheme, rushing the quarterback, is always good. Because the quarterback can't step up if the pocket's getting collapsed, if the pocket's getting squeezed. You know what Miles going to do, right? So if the pocket's getting collapsed by, it could be Mason, it could be Malik Collins, it could be Sam Kamara, it could be Jawan Briggs, whoever it is, if they're collapsing the pocket and we got the ends coming around on the edge, it's a beautiful thing.
Jacques, after
Mason said when we talked to him during rookie camp that it would be like taking the cuffs off him to go from read to attack.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, most defensive schemes, they're asking their defensive line to hold blocks up, right? Take on double teams, hold blocks up, so the linebackers can be free and go make money, right? And I'm just like, huh? I want my guys to be the first on the scene. I want my guys to be the penetrators, the disruptors, and them to make the plays and them to make the money. Okay, so when you're talking about read scheme, a lot of that is staying on the line of scrimmage, right? Holding up blocks for guys, holding up, double teams and things like that. When you're talking about attack, we don't take on double teams. Our linebackers are coming downhill. They're the ones that are cleaning things up for us, not the other way around. So we put a big emphasis on the front. You got to have guys that want to go out there and make plays. We take the handcuffs off, meaning that I'm not going to tell a guy, hey, you got to worry about this block and this block and this block. I'm going to tell a guy, I want you to get off the ball as fast as you can, okay, with speed, violence, and precision, okay, and go make plays. Go make plays. We want to give you money, okay? In order to do that, you got to go make plays.
Jacques,
we got time for one more.
Obviously, we know, Miles makes that trade request, then signs the contract. When he comes back, does it feel like he's all the way back in now?
Yeah, I don't even remember that. Okay, all right. That's the first thing. The second thing, every player is entitled to their own opinion. If that's how he felt at the time, that's how he felt. People can change their minds. Okay, and obviously he's here now. He's happy. He's engaged with the guys. He was working his butt off yesterday. So Miles is here. He's all the way bought in. He loves what we've done with the defensive line, and I know he can't wait to get the season started.
I wanted to ask about Alex, because losing him last year and how he's worked coming back from that tricep, and it seems like he's come in with a whole new mentality and changed his body composition a little bit. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, just the same thing. I mean, he's just a tough, physical defensive end that knows how to rush the passer with physicality, and I just like how he sets the edge. He has some position flex where he can play inside and give us a good rush, play outside and give us a good rush, and the guy's just a hard worker, just another hungry, fast, physical guy that we need on this defensive line.
What do you think his ceiling could be with this team?
I believe everybody's ceiling is limitless. If you're willing to put in the work, grind it out, learn as much as you can, and you believe in yourself, anything is possible.
How big a year is this for Ronnie in terms of his growth and development?
Huge. He knows it. It's a big point. Year 3 in the system. A great opportunity to take advantage of a situation that he's worked hard to earn. He's done an excellent job in terms of preparing, taking advantage of situations like year 1 and to make the team. Now, it's time to go out there and execute to the level that we believe he can and that he knows he can.
It seemed like Grant was getting a lot more comfortable towards the end of last year, especially playing in the box. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think Grant is really starting to touch, the true greatness that he can be. You see it. I know that we had whatever we had in terms of the season, but he had a phenomenal year. Reached the 100 tackle mark again, played really good football at the second level. So he's definitely he's got himself to a good spot. Now, where can I help him grow in other areas? We're focusing more on the third level for him right now. So that he can be a true complete safety in all those areas, take advantage of opportunities at the third level and help us, create more plays. So definitely saw that.
It feels like your room was pretty consistent for the last 2 years. But now, right now you got a couple significant changes. So what's that like for you, and what have you seen in the couple of veterans that you brought in?
I'm earning my money now. The first 2 years, first year I earned my money. The second year was a lot of consistency. And now the third year is almost like year 1 again. without a OG Rodney McLeod. So it's from scratch. I'm basically attacking it and approaching it like no one knows what they're doing, even a guy like Grant or Rocket, and building it from the top up, because we do have almost like 3 different rooms. We got like Grant, Chris, and Rocket who've been here. Then we got this vet group of Rayshawn, Casey, and Nick, and then we have a rookie. So it's just this really diverse room right now. So for me, it's been fun to just remind myself to go back to day one and teach from the ground up, which I think is also going to benefit the guys that have been in the room. But definitely earning my money. Coach Schwartz walked by one time early in the process of the spring. He goes, yeah, it ain't going to be easy like it was the last few years. So he reminded me pretty quickly. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Even with those veterans that you guys brought in, like, how has their outside perspective, though, benefited you in kind of helping them learn the system and getting adjusted?
It's been good, because I think anytime you bring in new people to an organization, doesn't matter what you're doing, they have different perspectives, different way of doing things. They ask different questions, which is always good, because those questions are something maybe we didn't talk about before or work through. So it's nice to have those things, especially when we have as many as we have now. So they're all coming from different places. But as a coach, it also reminds you to not assume that they know it, or when they say, yeah, it's like this, you got to be careful and say, well, is it exactly like we do it, or is it the way you kind of did it? So it's been really healthy for us, for the room.
Is Nick sort of a guy who can bounce between corner and safety?
You know, he's played corner and nickel, obviously, in his career, but right now we are completely focused on playing safety. So I know, like, you know, there was some maybe questions on what he is. That guy is playing safety for us. I liked his skill set in the sense that he can do both things. That's always good. You know, OG was a pass corner. Guys who have corner flex always do transition or can transition. The biggest thing is the growth that has to happen from corner to nickel, and the things that you have to do at safety does change. And he's in that process right now. He's done a good job of working at it, and I hope that that can transition, you know, into the season.
Casey, it seems like he makes plays everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Why is he bouncing around?
I don't know. Couldn't answer that, to be honest with you, but I'm glad he's here. He's obviously his success in Atlanta. You know, he had success at Pittsburgh. He's a guy that we kind of saw in the process that can make plays. He can provide position flex. He's a veteran. He goes and finds the ball, which obviously we got to be better at in terms of getting the ball. So he's a guy that can do all those things. I'm glad he's here. He's worked really hard since he's got here. We did have a kind of the room wasn't really complete till halfway through the spring. So it's been a little bit of a different process for him in terms of learning it, picking up, but he's done a good job.
Jim talked last week about how heavy safety you guys his scheme is. Do you think that's going to remain the same given the transition at your spot?
I think so. You know, I know how big that package is for us. My whole career, I've been a very three-quarter safety type, you know, scheme deal for me. So I understand the benefits and how that helps a play caller. I think it allows him to do a lot of different things, but at the same time keep the core of who he is and what we do schematically intact. I think that'll continue, but we need to find the pieces that can do it. I mean, the last 2 years we had it. We're still in the process of figuring out who those people will be and how we can operate to make that happen for us as a team.
We always talked about how you guys, your unit is like the nerve system.
Yeah.
Defense. So with that kind of mentality and mindset, like going into this season, how beneficial is that that's where they're headed to be that like nerve system for the defense?
Look, bottom line is they have to be. Like the safety room has to fix problems. You know, Tarver over there, you know, right next to me. That's our job. Our job is to be the mainframe. Our job is to be able to take information, process it fast, and fix the things that need to be fixed or operate. This is the league. That's how it works. So it's absolutely necessary for those guys to be the nerve center, for us to be able to handle those things. But if you are going to say you're that, then you need to be capable of fixing those things, having those tools.
We're going to make this the last one. So
what? Okay. How rigid are you in terms of in the box versus free, you know, deep, in terms of where you see guys? Because it seems like Grant fits more in the box. McKeon, I mean, how much is that kind of
To answer your question, how rigid am I? I'm not. Now, I know certain safety coaches can be, and in the league could be very strong safety, free safety oriented, but I don't necessarily, from my past, believe that that's always what's best. Because especially in the league, when you only have a couple of guys active and guys go down, they need to be able to play both. You need flex the way that offenses are changing in terms of FSL and motions and all that other stuff. So you need guys who can do both. So to answer your question, yeah, it is important to have the body types in certain spots. But the league and the way offenses are built now, they're going to put you in wherever they want you. So you need guys to be able to do both.